Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, we're going to be repotting and propagating my golden bird's nest, sanseveria, or snake plant, and I'm going to be sharing a few care tips along the way. If you guys find today's video helpful, please hit subscribe and please hit like down below. Like other sanseverias or snake plants, these are a succulent and they're very easy to care for provided you follow one simple rule, and that is only water it once the soil is completely dried out. If you can still feel some moisture in the soil when you stick your finger in, it's not time to water yet, and that's the one way that you can cause root rot and kill these plants. So I'm going to go ahead here and take this pot out. These bird's nest sanseverias only get, about this tall. Like, they really stay quite short. So from that standpoint, they're pretty easy to keep as far as they don't outgrow their spaces very often, and they can be put just about anywhere. I'm going to go ahead here and grab a tray and bust this one out. All right. I'm just kind of breaking up the soil here so I can get this out of the pot. There we go. So I'm just going to knock some of the extra loose soil away from the plant so I can get at the root structure and see where I'm going to separate these pups off. See, there's these pups that have grown. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to go ahead and split those off. These plants do well in a variety of lighting conditions. I think it's best though to avoid bright direct sunlight. They do prefer indirect light, but they do want it to be quite bright. If you have it in bright light, it'll keep the patterns on the leaves quite prominent, and if it's not bright enough, you'll start to lose some of the patterns and the striping in the leaves. So what I've done is I've cleared just about as much of the soil away from the roots as I can, safely without beating on it too much. So yeah, just back to the lighting, you really want to have these in a bright, indirect light. A good spot for these is a north-facing window or off to the side of a window if it gets some bright afternoon sun. You just don't want to have it so that the sunlight is directly hitting the leaves for very long. So I'm going to go ahead here and make my first cut. I'm going to take off this one here, and I'm going to try and cut it kind of right back as close to the main shoot as possible. I'm just using scissors. I'm hoping these are sharp enough. Oh yeah. So there we go. I've got this one here. All right, so now I've got this pup free. That's got a little bit of its own roots, as you can see. So we can plant this again and it'll grow into its own little bird's nest sanseveria. These will do okay with lower light levels, but they just may lose some of their striping, some of their coloring, and some of the patterning that makes them look so nice. Okay, one more here. Which leaves a little bit of roots on it so they can grow. All right, now that we've got our 3 pups, we can go ahead and plant these all into some new pots. Now the soil that I'm using is a cactus type of mix. Just anything that drains really, really well so it doesn't get too wet and start to rot on me, right? So if you're using regular potting soil, you gotta really watch how much you water it and really make sure that that soil dries out before you give it any more water. And that'll keep it happy. So there we go. Reused my soil. Pack it all down. A lot of my pots don't have drainage holes just because of where I put them in my house. I just can't risk water leaking onto the hardwood or onto some of my desks or some of my camera stuff. So I just have to be very careful with my watering. And honestly, I've switched to using like one of those water meters, like a moisture meter, because I find like it really helps me out to figure out when I should water and when I shouldn't. And there's been a lot of times where I think, hey, it's been a long time, I should give this plant some water, and then I check it with that meter and it's saying no, it's still good to go. So I think that's really helped me in my plant journey. I think that's been something key that I've picked up. All right, that one's planted. We'll put that one off to the side. It's good to grow again. Then we'll bring up some of this cactus soil here. So you can plant these cuttings directly into dry soil, but you just don't want to water it very much right away, if you water it at all. I think the general recommendation is to kind of leave it to kind of let the cut callus over a little bit. So you want to put it into dry soil for the most part, and then in 3 or 4 days you can give it a little bit of water to get it acclimatized to its new pot. Again, these don't need a lot of water, so just a little bit will do it. Because obviously it's quite a small cutting in a larger pot. You don't want to water the soil too much, especially on these succulents. So just a little bit around the roots that it has is going to be perfect. Number 2. For my cutting to go in, I'll try and get as many of the roots into that hole as I can without damaging them too much. And just tamp it down a little bit to try and get some support. And just top it off. There's number 3. Anyways, that about does it for today's video. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.